Hello and good day. Today I would like to talk about the topic of awakening. I mean, there's a lot of talk about, waking up and awakening. So I had a few thoughts. I was contemplating what does it really mean? What is awakening? Well, first of all, what does it mean for me? And I want to share that here with you. And two, I've made some notes, so just in case I don't forget anything. So two words came up for me that were quite interesting, that just came up. One is an ark, like Noah's Ark, or a vessel. So what is an ark or a vessel? Well, essentially, a vessel or an ark contains valuables, right? And it contains everything that is necessary to go on a journey or to survive or to function in this world, if you want. And I connected it with the body. We can see our body as a vessel or an ark. And interesting enough, about more than 70% of the body is water. And water stores information, so it's an interesting fact. The body is subject to natural laws, obviously, but also to what we call common law, the law of commerce, the law of the land, or the law of the land, LORE. And what is the world? Well, if we look at the world also as a vessel or an ark, interesting also, more than 70% of the world is made up of water. And water in the world is usually used to transport goods or information. And it's an interesting connection there too. So the world we live in is subject to admiralty law, maritime law, mercantile law, the law of the sea, and the language spoken here is legalese, right? So that's my introduction. So what do we really know of the mind, the body, and the world? Well, the mind, what we know of the mind is a process of thinking and imagining. Clear. What do we know of the body? Well, the body is made up of sensing, feeling, and perceiving. Feeling, if we upset, attached to it that might have a sensation in like a tight chest or something. And perceiving, if I look down, I can see my hands, I can see my nose. So feeling, sensing, and perceiving, that's what we know of the body. Now, what do we know of the world? The world is a process of perceiving, sensing, seeing, hearing, touching, smelling, and tasting. That's the world. So I see that we are on a journey through this world, within a vessel, in a vessel, and within a vessel, in order to experience, just for the sake of experience, and for me to wake up, to grow up, and to show up. Wake up meaning like remembering what we and who we truly are. Growing up, we go through stages of development or consciousness evolution, conscious evolution. It's almost like children growing up to toddlers, teenagers, young adults, and then adults. And the same we can say for consciousness is going through, let's say, ego-based perception or an ego-based view of the world. Then is what's called ethnocentric, it's us. So it's more and more including. The next level would be world-centric, where it says, worldview says then, well, it's all of us. And the final stage we could call cosmocentric, where it includes all of life. It has an all-inclusive world view. So I can say that we live in a perceived reality. What we see as reality is based on perception. We said that before. So, and our experience is made of thinking and imagining, sensing, feeling, and perceiving. Any experience arises in awareness or consciousness, is known by awareness, and ultimately only is made of awareness. There's nothing outside of awareness. That's an important point. And also, if we look at reality or the world, it seems like we live in two realities or in two worlds. One is based on believing, one is based on knowing. Well, what do I mean by that? Well, believing, if one believes, it's not knowing, it's just a belief, a taking on a set of certain thoughts, a process of thinking and perceiving. And that is, people believe that there are this body and mind, that when you ask them, who are you? They point to the body. Well, I'm this, or I'm my name, or I am my occupation or family status, whatever. It's a very limited set of beliefs. And usually people think that they are living in this world, sharing the limits and destiny of the body, and that they're here as a person. We're so used to the word person, but what does it really mean? Well, person means we are a bonded surety, comes from our birth certificate. We've been birthed to a bankrupt franchise, call it GovCorp, corporate government, so corporation. And that is based on the Cesse de Queville Act from 1666. And setting up a trust. So, but that's not the topic for now here. So, and also that we are part of, I would call it a clueless or mindless collective, that we're part of the collective. And if you observe our worldly affairs, for me, it's quite obvious. So that's one set, that's based on beliefs, dogmas. The other one is, if you do contemplation and a lot of research and sit down in meditation, you know yourself. It's different to believing. You know yourself as a living man or a living woman with sovereign integrity. We are born sovereign. We're born free. No one can take that away from us. And then the result of that, we see ourselves as highly individualized, immortal beings. In a sense, unlimited and ever-present awareness or consciousness. Okay, my next point here is that we are not here to change the world or to improve the world or make things better or fight the system, fight corruption, stand up for this and that. That keeps us trapped in a loop. And where our attention and focus is, that becomes our reality. So think about it. We are not here to change the world. So when I talk about awakening, I say internal awakening and external awakening. And awakening, in a sense, for me, means solving conflict. Because we are in a deep sleep of forgetfulness, we've forgotten who we truly are, and that creates an inner conflict. Naturally, it makes sense. So awakening means conflict solving. It's a process of solving our own inner conflicts. And let's have a look at the word conflict. Con and flict. Con comes from the word conning tower, a conning tower on a ship, giving direction. But it seems that we've been conned, misdirected. Not pointing out there, pointing in here. And flicked. I link it to the word affliction. So by being misdirected or misguided, it caused a sense of burden, a sense of suffering. So conflict is a sense of suffering because we've been misguided. Believing instead of knowing. So, and I can say that inner conflict is the collective belief in the sense of separation, isolation and fragmentation. We feel isolated, fragmented. In there is the deep-seated belief in lack and inadequacy. Lack, there's not enough resources, not enough time, not enough love, not enough recognition. The list goes on and on. It's always lack. And inadequacy. Organized religion reinforces that belief all the time. You're a poor sinner. So something is not right with you. You need to improve yourself. But what if that is not true? And the constant sense of resisting what arises in our experience and the seeking for something better or different. So for me, that is the deep-seated inner conflict in all living beings, or human beings, I should say. So in solving this inner conflict, I think we need to receive proper direction or proper guidance by going within and learning to listen and to trust our own inner guidance, using imagination, intuition and empathy as a guiding principle. But it needs a quiet mind and constant practice, learning to trust our own inner guidance so that we know who we are, where we are going, what we are doing here. Now, solving an outer conflict is really the result of the inner work, because inner conflict is usually projected and shows up in the world or actually as the world. So projection makes perception. Or in other words, as within, so without. What I see in the world reflects back to me my state of mind, my attitude. So, and that also includes learning to respond to life rather than react. It's learning to be self-responsible, able to respond. Self-responsible, self-directing, self-correcting. It's all part of this. And I would say that our true essence is outside of time and space, because we are anchored or moored or connected to, let's call it, source, oversoul, creator, or God. You can call it whatever you want, but you know what I mean. Now let's have a look at time and space. What is time? Well, essentially, time is a construct of the mind. Without thinking, there's no time. So, construct, when I say construct, there's the word con in again. So, we are conned into believing that the mind, the thinking mind, is the only authority. Most of it, other people's authority. Other people's minds, other people's thoughts and ideas. So we are conned again into believing that the mind is the only authority. And struct, con a construct of the mind. Construct. Structure. It's fixed. They're rigid beliefs. Remember when they told us science is settled? It's laughable. So anything that seems to be fixed or rigid and this is the way it is, just do the opposite. Think and believe the opposite. We still use the mind as a useful tool. The mind is there to be used as a useful tool, but not as authority. The authority, true authority, we should be listening to is outside of time and space. So time, if time is a construct of the mind, let's have a look at space. So space is arising as a result of perception. We said that before. What do we know of the world? Process of perceiving, seeing, hearing, touching, sensing, and smelling. The perceived reality. What we see as reality is perception. And space is the shortening of the old French word espace. It's a period in time, distance or an interval. If you look at the word, the Latin word spatium, it means distance or a stretch of time. So apparently space is connected to the construct of time. It's the same like time. The so-called scientists talk about space-time. So one word, space-time. It's the same. So that was my little contemplation about awakening. I've put those thoughts in the PDF and I will attach it for you at the end of the video. Excuse me. And a last thought maybe I'll leave with you to contemplate. What if we live in a holographic simulation? Interesting thought. Have fun with it. Till next time. Cheers.